Hi, I'm Neil Saunders and welcome to this week's edition of Retail Perspectives. What I want to talk about this week is something that has become now for most of us an established part of life, but which actually 5 or 10 years ago didn't really exist to the extent it did, and that thing is social media. If you look at social media today, about 73% of internet users are regular subscribers to some form of social media or other, and of those people, about 60% use social media at least once every day, and many of those use it multiple times in a day. So actually it's become a very integrated part of life for most people in terms of where they get their news from, in terms of how they update their friends, or just in terms of how they learn about shops, services, products, travel, all sorts of different things. Interestingly though, not that many people buy via social media, so buying via a site like Facebook or buying via a direct Twitter link is actually quite small at the moment. But in some ways that doesn't matter, because what's important for retailers to understand is that social media is a massive influencer in terms of what people buy and how they buy, and also it really changes the relationship between the consumer and the retailer or the retail provider. And I think there are three things that have really reconfigured the relationship that social media has brought about. The first one is understanding why social media is quite unique, because at the end of the day social media is a communications tool, and we've got lots of communication tools and we've seen lots of evolution in communication tools over many years. The thing that's very different about social media compared to, say, newspapers, magazines and other forms of communication is that it is a many-to-many form of communication. So actually you have many people doing the communicating and you have many people listening to the communication. And when you think of other methods of communication like broadcast, for example, it's quite different. Usually you have one broadcaster and many people listening. The same with newspapers, it's one publisher, many people reading or viewing the content. And the fact that you have many people contributing and many people subscribing makes social media quite important and quite different from other communications tools. And that's done two things really. The first thing is it's really leveled the playing field, because basically it's given consumers a lot of power. It's given ordinary everyday people the power to tweet about experiences that they don't or do like, and actually for that tweet to be viewed by a lot of people. And we've all seen many examples of how a retailer's got service wrong or has got a product wrong, someone's tweeted about it, and suddenly that thing's gone viral and has become something that is in the consciousness, or certainly in the mindset, of lots of people who are viewing social media. So it's really levelled that playing field out between consumer and retailer. The other thing it's meant is that often, in terms of marketing, retailers can very easily lose control. Now that was quite difficult in the past. If you place a magazine advert, you obviously control precisely what goes in it and how people look at it. With social media, you really don't have that control. And again, we've seen loads of examples of how campaigners started on social media with one intention, but consumers have taken it in a completely different direction. And if you think back just to the Waitrose campaign that they ran some time ago, reasons for shopping at Waitrose, the idea was, of course, that people would treat lots of positive reasons, good service, because they like the food, it's good quality. Of course, consumers decided to be a bit tongue-in-cheek and tweeted lots of sort of funny things and little parodies about Waitrose. So it actually took the campaign in a direction that Waitrose had never intended it to go in the first place. So with social media and marketing, you really do lose control as a retailer. So social media has reconfigured the relationship between the consumer and the retailer. But there are lots of positive things as well. It allows retailers to really reach out to a lot of consumers in a very cost-effective way, something that traditional advertising never did allow them to do. It allows retailers to interact very quickly and instantaneously with their consumers. They may want to test a new idea, a new product. You can get that out there very quickly and get feedback very quickly. It also allows a lot of listening, because retailers can listen to what consumers are saying about their brands, they can listen and understand what's being said about their products, and they can find ways of improving service, or they could find new trends that are emerging and take advantage of them. So social media brings lots of advantages to retailers, as well as it bringing lots of challenges. I think the key things for retail and social media are, first of all, if you're going to go on social media, think about what it means to you. What are your objectives? A lot of retailers will just go on social media because they bandwagon, everyone else is on it, we must be on it. But actually think strategically, what do you want to get from it? Is it a customer service tool? Is it something where you can gather feedback? Is it something to promote and market? Have the objectives set, because once you have those objectives, you have a much better chance of measuring them. And also it determines the next important thing, which platform you go on. Because there are loads of social media tools, from Twitter to LinkedIn to Facebook to Vine to lots and lots of others that are small and niche. And actually you shouldn't be on all of them, arguably. You should be on the ones that are right for your objective, and having that objective helps you choose the right platform. Also important when you've chosen a platform is the context. If you're on something like Facebook, you have to realise that it is a site about social interaction. So formal communication, formal marketing messages, they really jar with what people are doing on that site. So you need to change the tone according to the context. If you're on LinkedIn, it's more of a professional site, so a more business-to-business type message is appropriate. If you're on Twitter, it's about short, sharp, interesting interaction. So once you've got the platform, understand the context of the platform and react accordingly. Listen as well as talk. That's important. Understand what consumers are saying about you, what they're feeling about you. Don't just use it as a one-way communication channel. It is about that interaction. The most important thing, though, is to understand that actually social media isn't about you as a retailer communicating to your customers. It is much more about a sense of community. It's about an ongoing dialogue, and it's about you listening and interacting with your customers and taking on board their feedback and their suggestions and their ideas, as well as you promoting yourself. And that's one of the ways that it really does differ from traditional marketing. The interesting thing is, where retailers and service providers as well have got social media right, they do generate better loyalty, they do generate better interaction, and ultimately, although not through a direct method, they generate better sales as well. So it's something that's worthwhile getting into, and it's something worthwhile persevering with, but you do have to think very carefully about what you want to get out of it, because that is key to making a success of social media.